everybody, what is going on? As you may or may not remember, our life app for the month of March has been forgiveness, which is deciding that someone who has wronged you doesn't have to pay. Now our story today is going to be coming from the Gospel of Luke, so if you have your Bible, go ahead and turn to the book of Luke. We're going to be in chapter 15. Remember, the chapter is the big number, and we are going to start in verse 11. If you do not have your Bible, totally fine. You can just listen to the story, okay? But in our story today, Jesus is telling a parable. Now, if you'll remember, a parable is a story that Jesus would tell in order to teach a lesson. And the parable that he had today was for a group of people called the Pharisees. Now, the Pharisees were the religious leaders back then, and they really had a lot of problems with Jesus, but one of the problems that they had with Jesus was that Jesus seemed to love everybody, not just the people who were like them, not just the people who followed all the rules, but even the people who didn't follow the rules. So in this parable, it's actually a story of a father and two sons. There was a big brother and there was a little brother. And in the story, the little brother was very greedy, and he went to the father and he asked his father for his inheritance. Now that's a really big word. What does that mean? An inheritance is a large sum of money that normally would get passed down to a child after that parent passed away. So it was kind of an insult to begin with that he would be asking his father for his inheritance, but the father loved the son and he was so gracious and kind, he decided to go ahead and give his son the inheritance. So the younger son took his big sum of money, he ran off, he went to a distant country, and he spent that money up so fast. Once he had run out of money, there was really nothing else for him to do. So what he finally resorted to was he got a job, and his job was actually really gross. His job was to feed pigs. And one day he had just hit rock bottom because as he was feeding those pigs, he was so hungry himself that actually the food the pigs were eating actually looked good to him. And that's when he decided, you know what, I can't live like this anymore. He decided that he was going to go back home. So he goes home, the father meets him, he hugs him, and he decides to throw this big celebration for his son who had been gone for so long and had finally come home. So the father throws this big party. Well, as this party is happening, the big brother is out working in the fields, he hears all the music, and he asks the other servants, what's going on? What's all the fuss about? Why is there a big celebration? Comes to find out that his father is throwing his younger brother a party. And to the big brother, that's really not fair, right? Because the big brother, he had never been thrown a party. He had never been celebrated in that way, even though he had always followed all of the rules. So what's the whole point of this story? Why is Jesus telling the Pharisees this story about these two brothers? Here's the thing. There's going to be times when things just don't go our way and things are unfair. There's going to be times when your brother or your sister gets the last Oreo cookie and you really wanted it. There's going to be times where someone at school is maybe making fun of your name or teasing you in some way and they don't seem to get in trouble the way you think they deserve. In those moments, we can choose to forgive. We can choose to decide that that person doesn't have to pay us anything. They don't owe us anything at all. And here's the thing. When you think back to the story of those two sons, that older brother really missed out, right? He didn't go and celebrate his brother, right, and go to the party and have fun like he could have. He chose to pout and be upset. And same thing goes for us. When we don't forgive, we can really, really miss out on what God is doing in our lives and in the lives of others around us. And that reminds me of our memory verse. And I'm actually going to have my daughters, who are right here, they're going to help us review the memory verse for the month. So come on up, you guys. We're going to do an echo, so that means I'm going to go first and then you're going to go. Think we can handle it? All right, let's try it. Put up with one another. Forgive one another. If you are holding something against someone. Forgive. Just as the Lord forgave you. Colossians 3:13. All right, y'all ready to put it all together? All right, let's try it all together. Here we go. Put up with one another. Forgive one another. If you are holding something against someone, forgive just as the Lord forgave you. Colossians 3:13. Awesome. So your homework this week, you guys, is to keep on memorizing Colossians 3:13 and look for ways to be forgiving. As you're all cooped up with your family this week, you're bound to get on each other's nerves. Do we get on each other's nerves? All the time. And we have to choose to forgive one another. So that is my challenge for you. Have a great week, and I'll see you right back here next week. Bye.